Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to KUPES Chat. It's a beautiful day. I'm so excited today. And in fact, not even just today, I'm always excited. Welcome to KUPES Chat. My name is Lady Norena, and I'm just so happy to be here. And for those who are joining us for the very first time, KUPES Chat is a platform where we invite different men and women who have done tremendous or good things in their lives, and they come here and they show and they speak about their lives, they give testimonies, and they tell us how their journeys have been. And this has been going on for a very long time. In fact, the KUPES chat, the first KUPES chat was way back in 2015, and it was a physical chat where we could all gather. But with COVID coming into our lives, we had to turn a few things around, and we've been having our virtual meetings, and this is where we are today, having our KUPES chat. I'm so excited about today. And you will know as we begin the conversation why I'm excited. In fact, I'll say it again. I'm always excited about our speakers and our guests, but this one, and she will be able to say herself as we continue with the conversation. So please tell us where you are watching us from. And our hashtag for today is KUPES Chat 2021. In fact, it's throughout this year, it's KUPES Chat 2021. So tell us where you're watching us from. If you're watching us from Andola, you're watching us from Kitwe, you're watching us from Mazabuka, wherever you're watching us from, please just type in there and tell us where you are. And please just continue to tweet, as you post on your status. Our hashtag is KUPES Chat 2021. So we are we're still in COVID season, and I'd like to just encourage people to ensure that you wear your face mask and when you're going out into the public. But also, if you can, please get yourself vaccinated. We need each other, and as I always say, we need you and you need us. So please make sure that we do the right thing, and so that we can come out of this season alive. So without further ado, there are certain people that come into your life that sort of like give you a different perspective. And the person that we're going to have today, and I'm sure you guys have already seen who with our posters and all the information that went out, and they sort of like give you a different perspective. And even as an older woman, you sit down and have conversations with this person, and you're like, oh my goodness, oh wow. And the person that we have today has just done that. I've known her for a while now. And our journey has been an interesting one, I can assure you. But I'd like to believe that it's been a beautiful one. And it is, not even believe, it has been a beautiful one. And I can't wait for many years to come and how she will get into where she needs to be, where God has prepared for her. And today I just want to say, because we talk about KUPES, our hashtag is inspire, empower and transform, and the empower part there is a very critical one for us. And the reason I always mention it is so that we understand when we talk about empowerment at KUPES Young Women's Network, we're not talking about us having power over the man, but for us having power over ourselves, so that we can add value wherever God places us. So always remember, when you talk about being empowered, it's being empowered as an individual, so that then you can add value wherever God places you. So I just wanted to throw that one in, so we'll never forget that. So please welcome, or rather join me in welcoming our guest for today. And this is Miss Patricia Luhanga, who is now the Corporate Affairs Manager at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Patricia, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Just a good afternoon to everyone who's watching us and who's following us this very important time. And I'm not taking for granted the fact that I'm the person sitting with you here. You know, I can get overly excited in your,
I know, right?
in your presence. And I'm trying to tell myself, calm down. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. A little bit of background, like in terms of how your corporate career has been, because I'm sure the young girls out there, the women out there, and everybody out there who's watching right now just wants to have a little bit of, I mean, yes, you are now, we're not going to say ended up, you are now at the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and you were in the banking sector. How has the transition been?
I'm full of experiments. I started my PR career in the water and sanitation sector. And that's where I spent, I think, most of my work life. After that, I switched to banking. Getting into the governance and being at the center of politics, I think came unexpectedly, even for me. It was interesting because this was a trip to Livingston. We're in Monze, I'm hungry and I want food, and I receive a call and I'm told, you're one of the people we're looking to shortlist for this position. And I'm just thinking, who even told you to call me? And please send us your CV. I said, oh, okay, when I get to Livingston, I'll send. I got to Livingston. I was glad to meet friends from the profession. And in our Mongolo style, we even forgot and just started being all over. In the morning, the following day, I received another call. Ma'am, we are waiting for your CV. And that's when I decided to send. Gruesome sets of interviews that I went through. And just before I arrived home, remember, I told you about this story. When I did the last interview, I'm on the road going back home, and I was told, can we meet on Monday so that we finalize the contract?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so this is how things happen. And so immediately, I didn't even think twice, because remember, I was having conversations with people like you. In that smaller set of mentors I have, Mrs. Jwesa Kunda, I have 2 CEOs that I've worked under, and I consulted, and everybody said, what are you waiting for? This is an opportunity. We know you, so you transition easily. Transition.
That's right, yeah.
That's a platform that will now test who you've become. Because all along, you may think, oh, I'm a PR person, I can do this, I can. But look at the environment. It's easy going, like everything is in place and all. So go at the center of things. Test your capability, test your capacity. We are here to say you've got this. If it fails, then you would have tried.
That's right, yeah.
But then it has just failed. But we are very sure you're going to deliver value. So go in.
And that's where you...
And that's where I am. I joined the commission in December last year, 21st December to be very specific, and it was quite interesting. I was told when I was given the contract that we're not looking for somebody who we are going to handhold, who we are going to teach, somebody who hit the ground running.
Wow.
And if you observed, from that time to now that I can come and sit with you, I have been quiet. Because it's been a lot to learn, and a lot to do, and it was like I'd gone back to school again. Because look, the commission operates on the law, and you cannot do anything if you do not understand the law. Every process is backed by the law and policies. So from the banking where I had understood all the procedures and everything, into another sector, where I needed to grasp, first of all, starting with the Constitution, the Electoral Process Act, the regulations that govern the systems, and any other subsidiary laws where we tap into whatever processes that we are doing. It wasn't a job.
It was a job.
But here we are. I survived.
We're going to go back to Electoral Commission. So you participated in our first what I know now booklet, Advice to My Younger Self, for those who have seen this, and we are in the process of doing the second one. So at that time you were in the banking sector, and this is what you had to say. So first of all, what I know now, Advice to My Younger Self, is features 52 extraordinary women, I call them, and they're giving advice, like what would they say to their younger self, and this is what Patricia had to say in our very first publication, and she said, listen more, listen better, pay attention, learn, and remember. Sometimes experience is a bad teacher, so learn from those who have gone ahead of you. You will avoid costly mistakes, but only if you listen. And I remember when I received this, I think I gave you a quote and I said, this one for me, what just sprang out of there was, but only if you listen. Can you just speak a little into that?
You see, I think being human beings, we want to be heard. We always want to be speaking. But listening is the most important part of all this. So typically this is me. You find me in a meeting. I'll only raise my hand to speak if it is necessary. And everybody knows if Patricia is going to speak, she's going to speak sense. When people are talking, I'm assimilating what they're talking about. I'm processing in my mind I'm learning, I'm taking notes. So I'll give you an example. I worked with Mrs. Chivesakunda for about 2 years. Every time I'm walking into her office or if she's got a speaking engagement, I'll carry a notebook. And I'm writing things. So one day she looked at me and said, "You're always with me. Why are you writing things?" I said, "The moment I take it that I've listened from you and I know, that's the end of me."
Oh, wow.
Every day, there's always that thing that somebody says that makes sense. It just speaks into your environment, your life, and you're like, "Oh, I thought I heard this, but it's come differently. I thought I knew this, but I didn't know." Because then, in everything that is happening, there is a further explanation to everything. So rather than talking too much, listen. What is Lady Norena saying? And you know, there are things that you have told me from the first day that we met to where we are today, that we can remember. Even my going to study
I know.
was as a result of listening and doing.
That's right.
So I don't really speak much, but only when I'm with you. That's when I'm loud anyway, and I'm allowed to be loud when I'm with you. So for the young people out there, it's always important to listen. Even when we sit under mentorships, what are we doing there?
Wow.
Are we listening? Are we processing what we are being told?
That's right.
And are we actioning? If you tell me, "I've been on this path before, and the consequences are A, B, C, D," and if they're in the negative, it would be folly of me to say, if I go in a ditch, you would have told me. And I don't like people to come back to me and say, "We told you, you didn't listen."
You didn't listen.
This is why I said sometimes experience is a very bad teacher.
Yeah.
If you tell us this is not the way to go this way, and we don't listen and we find ourselves in the ditch, we'll come back and waste your time crying when you would be doing other important things.
That's right. And
mentoring others. You know, so we also need to allow space for others to go through certain things that we want to see in our lives.
That's right.
Instead of creating that space where I'm crying to you, there's a little sister of mine somewhere who would sit with you in that time, and they receive quite a lot of knowledge from you, and they move in the right direction. So we really need to be very careful, and especially now. And social media has got so much noise. So it's not just the noise that is created, within our physical environments, but social media.
Social media, yeah.
There's so much noise pollution on social media. The question is, what are you even listening to?
And who are you listening to?
Who are you listening? And that is very important. Who's in your circle? What is that voice in your life?
That's right.
Who is your voice? Because some voices are misleading.
They could be loud.
But very misleading.
Yeah, but very misleading. That's
you
true.
need to filter the noise. And this comes because you know who you are. You're very deliberate, very intentional about what voices you listen to. The period of elections, I just blacked out social media. Because I told myself, I'm not going to listen to anything. I have the direction on how I should work. I have support from the institution itself. So why do I want to pay attention to social media? Those that are close to me, family, friends, they have my phone number. They're going to call me and they'll tell me what is right and what is wrong. So those are the voices I chose.
Wonderful.
And this is why I'm saying, listen, act. And when you're acting based on what you have heard, you will not make a mistake if you listen. And this is why I'm emphasizing only if
you listen.
You listen.
There's an assumption. For instance, like you've mentioned, you and I we have conversations all the time, and you've mentioned Mrs. Chivesakunda. You've worked with her for a very long time. It's easy to get familiar with an individual because you are in their space, because you are always with them. how have you been able to handle that, even with the people that you found yourself with? Because like I said, it's easy to get familiar and you stop listening because you're like, we're in the same circles. How have you been able to manage it, and how important is that, or rather for the young woman to understand that, I'm trying to find the word for it, the closeness that is there doesn't necessarily, because you will stop listening because you become so familiar. How have you been able to handle that, and what would you say to a young woman out there who finds herself in certain space and she's like, oh my goodness, how did I end here?
Yeah. So first of all, for you to open up your door or your arms and say, please come in my space, does not make me become equal to you. If anything, you are in my life to make me better.
Wow.
So the moment I begin to become familiar with you, I'm already losing track. You should always remember, why are you in Lady Norena's life? And to tell you the truth, there is never going to be a time when I'll be better than you.
Oh, okay.
And I shouldn't even think I'll be better than you. Your life is your life. You've achieved so many great things. I have my own trajectory. I am using your life to go through my path and achieve great things. And so familiarity is what makes us fail. I describe you and Mrs. Chiwesakunda as my mothers, my sisters, my leaders, my bosses. It just depends on how I've woken up on a particular day. If I want to be a child, if I want to be a child, I'll just be a child for that particular day. And you know it.
I know.
If I feel like, okay, I'm the sister, I'm the kid's sister today, I'm the kid's sister. If it is work, a line has to be drawn.
That's right, yeah.
Work is work. And you need to know the people around you. It's not every time that you'll be laughing. It's not every time that you can cross the path. When you are working, and I know you, there's times I'll just look at your eye and I'm like, oh, okay. This one is a signal that we shouldn't.
Yeah, not today.
Not cross the line, and we are working. So familiarity itself is a recipe for failure.
That's right, yeah.
You need to take the person, from the first day you met them. That is how you should carry yourself all along. And what I've observed, for you, the people that have gone ahead of us, when you see a person of that nature, you also just begin to gravitate towards them.
That's right.
Because first of all, there's a certain level of respect that they give you. And because they're not competing with you,
that's right,
they are learning from you, they also maintain that boundary.
That's right.
And so it's very important never to become familiar. In fact, I have sat under all of you. Your greatest prayer has been, you should achieve more than we have achieved.
Definitely.
You should go in a path where we've not even been, but that path is of great things. So that when we look back, we should say we are part of that success story.
That's right.
So if I am becoming familiar, are you going to tell me that?
You
won't. Because you think about Patricia now, I think.
We'll just be like, even when we know that Patricia is just about to go into a ditch, and we'll be like, even if we try today,
Yes.
and I think young people forget that. When we speak, I'm not just speaking from without. And also, it depends on the relationship that you've had. And if you're going to call somebody your mentor, then understand that they will speak into your life.
Absolutely.
And when they speak into your life, it's not to say they're not trying to curtail your progress, but it's to say maybe at this point that might not just be the right move for you. Hold on a bit. And then let's see how far we can go. It's conversations that you have.
You've brought up a very important issue, and you know how I love process.
Yes.
And you see, there's this thing in our minds all the time that we want to achieve certain things much more quickly than how the trajectory should be. And so because Lady Norena tells me, Patricia, hold on there. No, not now. And I think, now I'm quite jealous.
Yeah.
So you want to do things in a more faster way, but the wrong things to think you arrive where you want to go. It doesn't work like that. You have to go through the entire process.
Yeah.
You have to be refined. Let's take an example of sugar. It's a sugar cane. After all, that turns into sugar. But what is the process of making sugar? That sugarcane has to be lifted from the field into all these, processes for you to have sugar in a chain store and for you to eat what is there. There's a lot of hard work, again, that goes into those processes. Otherwise, you can't go and get a chisari and, put in porridge and you think
that's right.
This is going to... No. So we need to respect the process. And when we are being guided to say this is the process, because that's the whole issue of you being mentored. But learn to ask questions as well.
That's right.
It's not like you're just being mentored, your take is just a yes at every time. No, ask questions. Why are you saying I can't do this? Okay, so what will happen? What direction should I take? And things like that, because like you've rightly said, it's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
It's not just you who's saying things. I'm also asking questions. When I discover certain things, I should be able to say, you know what? I was reading something and this is what I came across. Or I saw something, this is what it means. Do you think? So we are chatting and you find if something doesn't work, we go back together to the drawing board and relook what is the next strategy. Remember, there's no prescription in achieving certain things or something. There are a whole lot of different ways. That's why in institutions we've got strategic plans.
That's right, yeah.
Even in life, you have a strategic plan. People ask us questions. Where do you want to be in the next 5 years?
Even 2 years.
2
Where
years.
do you want to be?
Even 1 year, yes.
Yeah.
So you've got short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. But if you're not being guided along the way and you're not really going through the process itself, you'll be lost.
Indeed. And taking you back through the process, because from where I remember our very first conversation, it was at Mint Lounge, was it?
Yes.
Mint
Arcades.
Lounge. Arcades. and sitting here with you today, I smile. And usually when I'm responding to your posts or anything that I always say I'm smiling. And I think you understand when I say I'm smiling, you talk about, let's even talk about the shepherding scholarship. I mean, it's one of those that everybody wanted, like it is a place to be in. And you went through the process and you came out as our first can I call it certified financial journalist? You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
And it will be very interesting that there will be somebody out there thinking Patricia just landed where she is. But Patricia went through the process. And like you said, you respect the process. And just being able to attain the shepherding scholarship and the financial journalism, how has that been for you and how has it helped you in your current role?
If you remember very well, from the first time we met to when I started applying for that scholarship, it was quite a very short period of time. Because we met like this week. After a month or so, I lost my job, if you remember.
Yes.
And I came to you and I said, I don't know what to do next, but I'm trying to see if I can apply for jobs. So you looked at me and you smiled. And you said, I want you to think, because I don't want to direct anything.
Yeah.
Come up with something, let's sit and chat. And I disappeared on you. Like, because now, I'm not even coming up with things. And if you remember, I even went to South Africa for like 6 months. I went and I just said, let me just go and sit and think. And I'll tell you that this revelation came in a dream. And in that dream, I was actually in Scotland in school.
Oh, wow.
When I woke up, I was like, that was so real. That dream was so real. So in the morning, I went and got Mom's phone. I was like, wish the doctor. She was like, just go and get money, not from my phone. You're not going to. So we laughed about it. You want talk time? You don't have talk time. I said, I've been using data like no man's business. So she said, what do you want to do? I said, I think I just want to apply for school. So she looked at me, and these are my spiritual parents anyway. She looked at me and she said, let your father come back. Last night, we were even saying, I think Patricia, she's been talking about school too much. So maybe let her do this. So there I was. I started the process and I left it. Wow. They were asking me, have you finished? You see, the thing is, You're not going to apply for school, and specifically in the UK, and you don't give out motivational essays. And it's not just an ordinary motivational essay. You should show reason why you're that person, why you want to study at that university. Why do you think we should give you a space when there are a million people out there who wants to be in that space? Now, at that point, I'm like, I'm not ready to give a proper justification. And I came back.
You reappeared.
I reappeared. And we had a KUPES chart. And that particular chart had to do with vision board.
That's right. Oh, yes, I remember.
We were at Intercontinental Hotel. And I was like, I think I've been missing out something here. So we were all challenged to go and create a vision board.
That's right, yes.
You know what my vision board was? I took pictures of the university. I took pictures of a plane. So everything that was pointing in that direction. I didn't have many things. For me, it was just the path to school. When we left, I even told you, I said, I'm going to apply for school. If you remember very well. I locked myself in the house for 2 days. I wrote my motivations and I sent. Within 3 days, I got a response that I've been accepted. But now, I needed to pay about £40,000. Where does the money come from? The next thing, let me look for scholarships. And it was right in time when the Chevening Scholarship had opened. So I applied to New York University. I applied to City University of London because both, in fact, they are like twin universities in offering financial journalism. So I said, whichever will work out better. And I applied for a Marjorie-Dean scholarship. The Marjorie-Dean scholarship is for financial journalists. She was the first financial journalist in the UK and worked for The Economist. So they've named this scholarship after her to honor her contribution to the profession. So I looked at it and I was like, this one is more prestigious, but let me do both. So I applied. And the period of waiting is a gruesome
There's nothing worse than waiting.
So I received an email, you've been invited for interviews. I was like, okay, we are past at least the part of the gruesome process into the next step. I remember appearing at the British High Commission and they asked me a question, which they all remember. Tell us about yourself. And I was like, I'm a child of the Most High God. But even as I say this, I'm going to tell you all the things that I wrote in my motivational essays. And we spoke through it. In that interview, State Counsel Stephen Lungo was interviewing me. And we spoke about the freedom of information, access to information. He asked me a question. He said, what do you think? And I told him, I said, I'm not a believer of access to information. He looked at me. He said, but you're coming from that field where everybody is. I said, I'll only be comfortable if and when we learn how to use information.
How to use that information.
Imagine now we do not have that access in the way we are mismanaging the information.
That's right.
If you give us leeway, what is going to happen? We'll burn down this country. We first need to be responsible. So he looked at me and he mentioned the name of one of the people who was really pushing for that and said, I can't wait for a debate between you and that person. So I said, bring it on. These are my views. If the government wants to go ahead and do that, it's theirs. I'm not saying I'm one of those that will be careless, but I just think we are not ready.
We're not ready.
Yes. So I left the interview and he told me that when I left, he told the panel, he said, that is a girl you need to look out for. What she will become in the next years to come, even if you don't give her this scholarship, is something else. I have never had a conversation with somebody who takes me on something that I strongly believe has to happen and she just tells me to my face, no, that is not happening. Fast forward, I get the scholarship. And I remember 17 hours exactly, sitting in my bedroom, my phone rings, it's an email. And because that time I knew everybody was receiving their either rejection.
The responses, yes.
Or the offers. So I see it and I'm thinking, okay, let me just open. So just reading, dear Patricia, we are delighted. I threw my phone and I was just all over. It was an amazing period, and I remember in that moment, I thanked God for everyone who was in my life to take me through that process. I ran away from you, but somehow I came back. And because God was saying, you still need to be in these hands for this process to come to fruition.
That's right, yeah.
If there wasn't that particular session for the vision boards, I probably might have taken another direction. And if you remember very well, you just told me, you should have found an excuse. You need to come.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this one I'm not even going to say anything. I just said, yes, ma'am, I'll be there. These are things that sometimes we don't see.
That's right, that's right.
And when somebody's saying, this is why I say God is a master strategist. What we can't see in the physical, it's already something he's doing in the spiritual. And only when you walk that path, that's when you realize, oh, so that is why God made me go to that place so that I can take my share.
Very true, very true. And also when you talk about the vision board, two questions I have. One is on the vision board and also just the tenacity. I won't call it the tenacity, but the confidence and the courage to actually make that application for the scholarship. So for the vision board, for somebody who's listening right now, how important is it? And especially that you spoke, you sat at the KUPES chat and we're talking about vision boards. And I've received testimonies about just being intentional about the vision board. What would you say to somebody saying, is it really important?
It's very important. So what I did, I did cutouts and put them like on a flip chart and stuck it right in my face. So when I'm sleeping, I'm looking at it. When I wake up, I'm looking at it. What that does, it's reminding you of the things that you need to do to achieve that. Because you can see those things and you're thinking, what is the first step? What is the next step? What really follows? And like you rightly said, I think the Achieving Scholarship is one that people dread.
Yes, yes.
Because the process is rigorous. And our intake, globally, we were 66,000 applicants.
Wow.
And they wanted 1,500. And the allocation for Zambia was 19. So you make a mark in that. So if I have to make a mark, and you need to read and understand, what are they looking for? So if I have to make a mark, what do I need to do? We love to sleep. We love to play. But those are the times you tell yourself, I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to do this until this is done. So you work on your essays, for instance, sleep a bit, come back, look at them, come back, look until everything is refined. And I will tell you, this one person who I knew was a scholar. And I called them, I said, I need help, maybe you can take me through. You know the first thing they did? Instill a sense of fear in me. And I said, oh, you're talking about the lion's den. You don't even dare to go in there. That is not an easy process for you. And they just went all about town telling me how it's not easy to achieve that. And I told myself, this is the last time I'm even calling anyone about this who's within that circle. Because again, remember, it's not everyone who will be happy that you're going after what they have.
That's right, yes.
So I said that people that can review my essays without really them being, they can look at a question, they look at the way I've responded, then they can interrogate and tell me, this is okay, this is not okay. And that's the direction I took. And so when you have a vision board, it gives you direction. And it should be so big that it should threaten you.
It should scare you. I call it
yes.
Call it your big, hairy, audacious goal. What is it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I was asking myself, because the fees that were needed, £40,000, that was there. How is this going to come?
That's right.
And I told myself, this can only happen via scholarship. And I told myself, you will not even pay a cent towards this. This education will come for free. And it will definitely come. So if it's coming for free, what's the route to take?
How do I go about
How do I go about this thing? So you start looking around. It's scholarships. And there we were with a vision board coming to life just like that. And actually, this is September 2017. I was already in the UK. Facebook reminded me today a picture of me in the park in Westminster. And that was like a week after getting into London, and I'm settling down. And I'm thinking, so how do I take up my lessons and everything? Getting into school was the most amazing thing. We're right in one of the world's biggest financial capitals, London. And what it also meant was to go for exchange programs in Shanghai and in New York, so that you get the full exposure. We were in school when Brexit was right at the peak.
Yes.
And we went into Brussels because part of what you're doing is what influences the economics
That's right.
of the world. And you're looking at, the UK, the EU itself. You're looking at China on this side. You're looking at the United States on the other side. How are they influencing global economies?
That's right.
And so going through this journey where you go to different countries to learn and be able to speak to the things that are happening home. Like, you can link what is going on at home, and you're like, oh, no wonder we've got, this direction in terms of the economy. No wonder we've got this direction in terms of the financial markets and things like that. The biggest moment was for me to cover the winter budget.
Oh yes, I remember that. I think that was most exciting moment for us.
I went to Westminster, and I'm thinking, where are we now?
Is it really me? Am I here?
Am I really here? And I was chosen as a political editor for that particular assignment. So it meant I needed to sit in Westminster and cover the budget. And I remember very well the Chancellor of the Exchequer saying, we are presenting a budget that is going to be fit for purpose. When the budget was done, I interviewed Jeremy Corbyn and asked him, I said, how do you describe the budget? He says, it's not fit for purpose. I was like, there's my headline. The budget, not fit for purpose. So the fact that I sat with the giants, Sky News, BBC, Bloomberg, Al Jazeera, everybody, who you can think about. And I am covering that particular assignment at a time such as that. I said, I cannot miss without even taking pictures. This has to happen.
This is a big moment.
And my story made the headline. And I'm like, oh, people should see this.
Like I said, your story, Patricia, is an amazing one. And obviously, because today I won't even go back into there. That's another space for when we have the intimate conversations and the KUPES chats and the Friday shows. So here is Patricia now, sitting at ECZ, Electoral Commission of Zambia. December, she goes into ECZ, and right at the nose of 2021 and August 12th, waiting for us for elections. And Patricia moves in. First of all, ECZ thought of really conservative, but also everybody tends to, I don't know about now, and that is something that you're going to talk to about, is everybody tend to think ECZ is ECZ, so we cannot be party to it. How has it been for you? What sort of fresh perspective have you brought to the commission?
You've rightly said I went in at the time when it was really the peak of things. And if you remember, the commission was undergoing a credibility issue.
Yes.
And everybody was just like, the commission this, the commission that. And at that point, for those that heard that I've gone to the commission, say that's the end of your career. You cannot associate yourself with such an institution. But that small constituency, as I call it, said you need to go in there and leave something.
Yes.
And the something that you will leave will be something positive. So I walked into the commission, and I'll tell you that for me, work started on the first day. That is the time we were finalizing the registration of voters, and we needed to, take out the numbers to the public. just to see the amount of work that goes into the processes. I just said, Lord, I thank you that you've allowed me to come into this institution. If there was a moment when I criticized knowingly and unknowingly, I'll never do that about any institution without understanding. There is so much commitment from all the members of staff, the leadership that is there in the members, the management team. And I'm sitting right in EXCO. And my role as corporate affairs manager is like I'm the command center, right? I need to bring the public into ECZ and take ECZ to the public. What are the issues? And so we started dissecting. What are the issues? What do we need to work with quickly? And we realized it's information. And if you remember very well, we're very consistent with our media briefings. Because we didn't want to create space for speculation. We didn't want to create space for fake news. Though we know that we cannot, completely run away from fake news, but we needed to control the narrative on our own and tell the story our way, not the way people are speaking to it. Or if they speak to it in a certain way, we should be able to quickly deal with it. So like I said, I am working, I am learning, and I'm not sleeping.
And you have to deliver.
I have to deliver. Because I was told right from the word go, you're not on probation. What this means is any day any one of us can wake up and say, Madam. But one thing I will tell you is that I found a very supportive team from the commissioners to management. And in management, I have brothers. I call them my brothers, my big brothers. I bully them. And by the way, I didn't even know they call me head girl. Because, they are talking about you and you don't even know. Who's going to resolve this issue? Head girl. Things like that. It was about understanding the issues.
Okay.
So when you understand, then you start creating a path to achieving something. I think by the time we were getting to the election itself, we had really upped our communication in such a manner that we were engaging the media frequently, civil society organizations. We also engaged the political parties. And remember, COVID was also at the peak. So we had to also utilize digital tools for us to get the information across. But we also got complaints, where someone even showed me their phone. They came to my office from a political party. You are saying you are holding virtual meetings. Have you seen the type of phone I have? It doesn't even have internet and everything. How do you expect me to know this? So it came with its own challenges.
That's right.
At the end of the day, we had to strike a balance. How do we take this information and let the stakeholders be informed? And we are glad that even in terms of, I think, the digital numbers, internet usage, phone usage, and so on in the country, there's been a sharp increase. And so we knew that if we use the digital platforms, we should be able to reach at least more than half the targeted population to this.
Yeah. So when, again, ECZ, our beloved ECZ.
Yes.
Especially in your position as corporate affairs manager has always been held by, I'll call, senior citizens. And there comes in Patricia Luhanga, youthful Patricia Luhanga, to head that particular department. How has it been for you?
I'm laughing because that was like the beginning of a crisis. When my appointment was announced on a Wednesday during a briefing, it was the beginning of a crisis because, first of all, most of the people didn't know who Patricia is.
That's right.
So the conversation was like, because we are used to thinking it's only a person who's got a particular name that can sit in such a space.
That's right.
So because you don't find that Luhanga name anywhere, others even said, is she qualified? Now, this is a story for another day when we speak about targeted branding. So I am not a person who's loud, but I know where to push and where to be. Because if anything comes up, I know if somebody says, let Norena, we're looking for a PR person or corporate affairs manager. Top of mind for you.
It's Patricia.
It's Patricia.
That's right.
So I need to be in a space, even if it's a smaller space, where people will remember me. And that is where I'm positioning myself. So if you don't see anything on social media...
Say that again. The young people need to listen.
I'll even look into the camera now. It's about proper positioning, targeted positioning in a smaller circle, but you know that there's one person who's going to remember me and recommend my name to somebody who's looking for the kind of service or job that I have to undertake.
Powerful.
It's very important. Others utilize social media. It's okay. But check, what is it that you are pushing across?
What is it that you're saying?
Yes.
What messaging is
I
there?
will not say anything on social media. And if you're expecting me to say a whole lot of things on social media for me to be validated by you, that is not going to happen. I know where I say things.
That's right.
Remember Mrs. Chiwesakunda would drop the ball at each and every given point. She's supposed to go and speak as the guest of honor. And she just says, Patricia, I have a meeting at Ministry of Finance. I can't miss this. You're going to represent me. And I'm saying, boss, but how? She's like, you wrote that speech, remember?
You know it.
Go. And those are the moments where I know, oh, okay, so here, this is how I'm going to handle myself. I should make sure that I leave an impression. The moment I'm getting off the stage, she'll be forwarding messages to me. This is what people are saying about you. Well done. Did I go on social media? I didn't go on social media. It's an opportunity I was given. And because I delivered at first, so even the subsequent engagements, she's very comfortable.
That's right.
And she says, do it. I'm already here. I have to grow you. And this is why I'm saying targeted positioning.
That's right.
Because
I love it.
That if I tell Norena that just give me this one opportunity to do something and I deliver it well, she'll send me again next time. And you don't know where you find yourself. So that was me getting into the commission with targeted positioning. And when the job itself came on the table, like I said, people spoke.
Yeah, and because it was like she's too young for that job. She's going to be fried.
Yes.
Fried like a chicken. It's going to be fried,
and
this child.
They started pulling the giants of politics and saying, we should even handle these people. But let me tell you, in all that moment, remember I said I listen a lot? I was just listening. I was listening and I concluded that simply because of the way that office has handled issues and not with all the utmost respect for my predecessors. They did an amazing job. They are giants in their own way, but they've got individual styles of management.
That's right.
So they are coming out like giants. And because even their bodies show that they're giants. So people are looking at me and they're thinking, what is she going to do? And I said, the solution is to do the exact opposite of what they're expecting. These people want me to go and fight with politicians, but you know I don't even fight.
No,
I believe in conversations.
That's
and
right.
I said I'm going to have conversations. And it will only be the time when we deliver the election that I'll prove them wrong. For now, I'm not even going to respond to anything. I'll just listen. So if it's garbage, so in, out. If it's good advice and everything, I take it, I process it, and I start strategizing. But above all, there was God in this.
In all this. God
was just there. There was never a day I didn't receive a message from someone who said, we're praying for you.
You needed all those prayers.
And I know others were not even sending messages or letting me know, but they were standing. When the Bible says, I will not let the watchtower, the watchman leave the watchtower without interceding for you. Exactly that. And there we were.
Yeah.
So for me, engagements, conversations, and of course there's quite a lot of disrespect that I received. You know, you walk into a meeting and people are like, they're now children at the commission. What is she even going to tell us?
So what would you tell, I mean, just that, Patricia, so this is a young girl perhaps, or young woman who walks into an office and I think Patricia, we did have this conversation. I think when you were in one of the financial institutions, and it was a question of how do I integrate. And I remember we had this. I can't remember where we were sitting, but I think we had this conversation in terms of how then do you engage them, because they've been there. And there's also the it's always, I'll use the Bemba term, they call it ubukokole, where you've been there for a while and you think you know it all. So you're going to go into an institution, you're going to go into an organization, and the people who've been there for a very long time, and others assume that obviously this position was meant to be mine. How does a young girl navigate that? How does a young woman navigate that? Because that's exactly what you went into. Yeah. I think even that financial sector, I remember that organization.
And I think wherever.
And then you go into this one. So what would you tell a young woman out there? What does she need to do? Because like you say, this is a huge position, Patricia. We can never take that for granted. But like, how does one navigate that? What did you have to do? And what would you tell a young person out there? Because you're young and they're expecting, like they said, but we didn't in the commission. What did you have to do? Or what can that young person do?
So what I usually do when I go into a place, I start to study the environment. I start looking, I don't open up easily. So I'm studying people, their ways of working, and I'm also looking at strategic partnerships. So who should I create friendships with? If I'm sitting in Exco, who is that person who when they speak, everybody says,
they listen there.
So now, strategically, those are my allies. And I make sure that in my own way, I find a way. And the way is very simple. It's a question. Let's take, for instance, the Commission Secretary who's legal counsel. And I'm like, counsel, I loved the way you explained that. So can I be coming for lessons? He says, in fact, I'm going to give you all you need. The next thing I'm seeing the Constitution, the statutory instruments, whatever acts on my table. And he says, before you call me, you need to look at what is here. When you're calling me, you're only saying, okay, I've looked at Article 52(6) of the Constitution and this is what it says. My interpretation is this, and I'll take you through that process. Anytime I'm picking the phone, he knows she wants knowledge from me and he's going to attend to me. By the time you're thinking I'm going to fail, I've learned how to do certain things and how to interpret all those issues. So be very strategic. Don't just go into a place and you become frustrated because people are saying she's new, she's young, she's whatever. Learn the environment. Look at the people that move things. Look at those that are influential. Look at those that you can learn from. And you've noticed, I think for me, it's a very deliberate policy. Wherever I have worked, I've created relationships with my CEOs. Even the recommendations going into the commission, my former CEOs are the ones that were running the recommendations because they understand me as such. So relationships are very important. Even the people that do not like you, somehow they will learn to like you. You know that I've had people that have said a whole lot of things, but they become my best friends along the way. So be very strategic. Be open-minded. But you also need to be very careful. How do I navigate? You don't just go and open up to someone and say, this is how Letnorena treated me. You don't even know how Letnorena relates with that person. So study their relationships. See who is who. And, make sure you are closed up at the beginning that no one can pick anything, out of you and say, this is. The moment you are opening up, you already know all those tumaroots. You can go through a maze easily. And that's how the environment should be navigated. But you also have the people that are under us. Most of the times we neglect them.
True.
The first day I drove into the commission, I stopped my car, I greeted the guard, I asked where I was supposed to park, and he left his post and said, Madam, please come. Walked me to my parking slot and said, this is where you need to park. When I'm going out, when he opens the gate, I roll down my window and I say, thank you, I'll see you tomorrow. In the morning when I'm coming, good morning, how are you, how is home? And the same thing happens with my team.
That's right.
And working with my team is even something that they walk in and say, they would send the social media officer because he's like now that child in the house who can just come and do whatever and say, how is boss looking like today? Says, I saw one eyebrow raised. I think we are not sitting in a good space. But one thing they will tell you is the way I am, straightforward. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If I say yes, it's yes. If it's no, it's no. But I allow conversations to happen. I want to understand your thought process around things. If you're not convincing me to make a decision over something, I'll just say this one.
Was that? Can I assume that was your approach? I mean, the election time, and we could go on. This conversation can go to 2 hours, but we're about to wrap up very shortly. Was that your approach during the elections? My dear, it's not Gary. We enjoy it. We enjoy that. But I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you really carried yourself very well during the elections, and again, you joined the election right at the nose of 2021, and we could all say it's kudos to you, and we really applaud you. You did such an amazing job, and especially some of us. I mean, your mentors and your mothers were sitting there and saying, "Job well done." Job well done. So for the voter education, you had young people turn out in numbers, and you can just talk a little quickly on that. And then you use the digital platform very well. What's going to happen before the next election? What do we expect to see from the commission?
There's quite a lot of innovation that is going on in the commission. Like you've rightly said, digital is the new world. Technology is also advancing, and you can't keep on doing things the same way they were done in 1996 to today. So for the first time, we had the pre-registration where you needed to key in your details, your NRC and everything. The time you're going to register, it's just verifying your details and your card is given.
Right, yeah.
When we went to vote, we had the biometric voter identification machine, which was acing the process where we had huge turnout. Now, if it's just the business as usual, then you are relying on the register. So what that machine was doing is immediately it picks your card. It even tells, like your name, the page on the register where you are. And if it's number two, so that it makes the process easier for the next person. So there's quite a lot of innovation. We have received a lot of requests, people in the diaspora, they're asking if they can vote as well and vote remotely from the diaspora. That's one of the issues we'll be looking at. We also received requests for e-voting. A lot of people are saying, but I can't move from Kitwe to come and vote in Lusaka because I've got other commitments. So why are you not introducing systems that are enabling this whole process? So those are some of the things that
we're going to be looking at.
Yes, the commission will be looking at. And now coming back to election day, staying calm is mastery.
Yes.
So you learn. I didn't even know my levels of tolerance until this time. I never thought I can sit in an environment where people are disrespecting me and I'm just looking at them. And in that moment, you have to be emotionless. Because as a commission, you're expected to be impartial.
That's right.
And you're expected to be above board. And you have people who are, saying whatever they want. I remember when we first wanted to announce the results and we were told we can't, and the commission says we are retreating, my role was to engage the political parties. Let's get where the misunderstanding is. And like I told you, I walk into a room and I've got security accompanying me because they don't know maybe the way I lift me.
Patricia.
So I see it and I'm telling the colonel and his team, I said, Colonel, these are our people. I think this is not necessary. No, ma'am, we are assigned to do this. And I said, okay, that's fine. Let's have a conversation. What is wrong?
And you went through the process.
We went through the process and you clearly understand that it's just politics.
That's right.
And at some point, one of them even told me, well, Patricia, these are residues of 2016. We came here to really, shout at you people, but we don't want to look at you. Because there are two things, your eye and your eyebrow. So I'm thinking, what do you mean? I know when I raise my hand, I want to speak, and you just look at me. I'm just
Patricia, we can go on and on.
But overall, they've become my friends.
Lovely.
All of them.
And I think your focus is, and when I think about it, for young people out there, is your conversations and being able to master, being able to understand what you're doing. People tend to look at you because you've held very serious positions. What sort of music do you listen to? I'm going to take you off guard on this one. Like, do you have one particular song that you love when you are in that moment? Because I am one of those who I like to play music. Do you have a favorite song, Patricia?
I have, and you won't even believe. So there's this song by Dreams, Chidunk. And very loud, especially when I'm in the car. I feel so stressed, and I'm just like, okay, I just feel like dancing on my seat whilst I'm driving. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Patricia, your final words to a young woman out there. Your journey has been remarkable, and we could all just sit here. And I'm extremely proud. I'm personally very proud of what you have become, the woman you've become, and the woman you are yet to be. I'm so excited at where God is taking you, and I know He's going to take you places and places. We ain't seen nothing yet. Amen. So your final words to that young woman out there today who's watching KUPES and looking, can I really be?
Yes. And beyond.
And beyond.
Absolutely. I think what's very important.
So you can even talk to them actually.
Is to define who you are, your goals. So growing up, I wanted to become a lawyer, but plans changed midway. I didn't even think of myself to be where I'm sitting because my focus was to go into mainstream media. For me, just being seen on TV was like the thing.
Oh, yeah, and remember, I think that's where the conversation started off, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So, plans will change along the way. You need to also be flexible to, digress and go into a trajectory that is giving you peace. But let me also say, do not despise the days of small beginnings.
Wow.
It is from there that you grow, step by step by step, until you get to where you want to be. Remember to ask questions. Remember to ask for help. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. You are simply saying, I'm inadequate in this area. I need someone who can help me understand the processes better, and they will do that. And when you start looking to this particular journey, you should be able to, stop, take stock of what has happened, and where you've scored successes, you tick where things have not worked, go back to the drawing board and redo the work. Most importantly, don't think it's okay to do things on your own. You need mentors in your life.
That's right.
It's very important. And I speak passionately about this because my mentors have been the biggest contribution to where I am. They've held my hand and they've said, whatever ideas you have, bring them to the table and we'll help you process them. They're not the ones pushing them. They're helping me to think through whatever it is that I have to deliver. So that's just the direction. The issues of remain focused, determined, I think we've heard those things before. But create that strategic plan for your life and follow through whatever you've put in place. So the short term, the mid term, and the long term goals that you've set for yourself, and continuously reevaluate.
Ah, lovely. Patricia, we can go on and on. With Patricia, one phone call takes us, I don't know how long. It's supposed to be 10 minutes. It finds itself into an hour. I'd like to say thank you so much, Patricia, for joining us this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I know for sure that a young woman out there has taken up something, or if not so many takeaways from this conversation, and we can only wish you the very best. So it's been a wonderful time, an absolute pleasure having a chat with Patricia Luhanga, who is the Corporate Affairs Manager at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So many takeaways. One thing that you must understand, or one thing that I will take away, is strategic positioning and also being able to respect the process. We talk about process and people tend to think, yeah, right, but it is very important. It's an integral part of whatever you're going to become. And the next 10 years, and I started saying this in 2020, I said the young people who are going to survive the next 10 years are those who understand process, who understand that they have to roll up their sleeves and work. This is a new dispensation, so you need to just jack yourself up and get ready. So Patricia said, respect the process and strategic positioning. And for those who are watching, if you're part of the KUPES Leadership Growth Track, please be aware Patricia has got a challenge, and the challenge is going to be posted to those ones who are on the Leadership Growth Track. So be ready so that you can win something, probably even a day, with Patricia, or a lunch with Patricia. But that is for those ones who are on the Leadership Growth Track. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us and spending this wonderful time with us. It's been wonderful. It's been learning and relearning for most of us, but most importantly, we thank God for giving us this opportunity to be here today. So have a wonderful time, and we shall see you next time.